Good morning one and all, welcome to the channel and welcome to Birmingham International Airport. It's currently 6:30 in the morning, it's a bit bleak and a bit grey, but we are on the way to Edinburgh this morning to pick up one of my all-time favourite cars, and that's a Vauxhall Monaro VXR. Now it is an hour and 7 minute hour and 7 minute flight there, but a 6.5 hour drive back. Now we've had Monaro VXRs in the past, always been the 6 litre, always been the VXR version. And why do we love them so much? Well, first of all, they can do this. And secondly, because they are one of the all-time greats. They are a big 6 litre V8 Chevy engine, as you probably know, and they are a dying breed of car, and that's why we like them so much, because they're just one of the cars that we have in stock that really do sort of define what we are and what we like doing. So let's get in here, let's go up there, and then we'll give it a full review on the way back. 260 odd miles home in a day. It's gonna be a long day, so let's get started. So here we are, we made it, welcome to Edinburgh. And the first thing I've got to say when you buy a car is never buy one in the rain. But we're in Edinburgh, we're in Scotland, and it rains every day. So we can't really get around that. As you can see, it's absolutely pouring it down. But nevertheless, we'll do what we can. So we're here. I also find it really bizarre that you can go all the way through Birmingham Airport, through security, through check-in, and off the plane and to here, with nobody checking who I was. I mean, I've got a boarding pass, obviously, but it's just a screenshot of a barcode. No one asked who I was, no idea or anything. But anyway, we're here. So it's time to go meet the owner, have a look around the car, and then we'll get it on the road and go from there. But we'll speak to her, hopefully, in a few minutes with a Monaro VXR. Let's go. So here we are, 6 litre LS2 Vauxhall Monaro VXR, Holden Commodore, Pontiac GTO, call it what you will, but it is a brute of a thing. So obviously over here in the UK, it's a Monaro VXR. We can tell that by the big nostrils on the bonnet here. So the 6 litre LS2, the VXR model in this country, had the nostrils on the bonnet there from the factory. We also have the VXR body styling on this one. I'm in the sunlight there slightly, so we'll come around here a little bit. So you can see there on the front, we've got the VXR styling front bumper, the side skirts down here, and the rear wing and rear diffuser at the back, setting the car off very nicely. A real brute of a thing this is. The classic Lexus style lights there at the back, very sort of in theme with the car's age. This is a 17-year-old car now, so you have to bear in mind the age of the vehicle. Obviously it's not going to be perfect. There are some bits and bobs that we're going to do to it to enhance it slightly, in obviously just general cosmetic things. The actual car itself is very good. Ali's had it for some time, so yeah, it's a brute of a thing. 6 litre LS2, I'll show you under the bonnet in a moment or two. But going around it, the major thing with these is to make sure the mechanicals are okay, and obviously the bodywork. The mechanicals on them are quite easy, believe it or not, to repair and get hold of. Bits for these obviously are around the world. You don't get many parts of them in the UK anymore because Monkfisher's closed down. Wilkinshaw still do have some parts, but on the whole, the main area to get parts for these from is from the US and from Australia. But the mechanical parts are not too bad to get. General maintenance is pretty good. This one has got a slight gap in the history, but in terms of mileage, it is correct. And it's generally quite a hard-wearing engine, so there's not much can go wrong with them mechanically. You do have the odd knock from diffs, things like that. They are serviceable, you can get them serviced. The gearboxes, again, very robust. They're very mechanical to drive. They're quite agricultural. It's not like driving a Porsche or anything like that. They are quite sort of hard and firm, and generally quite quite hard to drive, especially around town and things like that. But it comes with a car. It's a big lumpy V8, so it's not going to say drive like anything too nimble. But the main thing with them is the cosmetics in terms of the parts and the panels on the exterior, because trying to get parts in terms of bodywork for these is quite tricky. So the rear bumper there, for example, you just can't get them anymore. Vauxhall don't make them, and trying to get them from anywhere is quite hard. So it's good to make sure that the bodywork is nice and straight if you're going to buy one of these. You always get a bit of rust under this spoiler here. This one here's got it, as you can see. We'll get that done, get that treated and get that repaired. But they do go under there, because where's the spoiler touches the wing, the boot there, you do get that bit of rust. But again, it's only surface rust. We'll get that sorted out. On the back, even these bezels here on this, you can't get those anywhere, so it's good to make sure that the back is all good and it's okay. There's no damage on the back area. Side skirts are the same. Make sure they're not split. Make sure there's no, these are quite bulgy, so make sure there's no cracks and damage in those there, trying to get in and out, obviously hitting the side skirt there. So it's good to make sure they're all intact. Fan to the front, again the same with the back as the front. Trying to get these bumpers, especially in VXR form in the UK, is virtually impossible. So it's good to make sure that the bumper's all okay at the front. You do get this out of alignment going on here. There's no crash damage there. That's just the way they're built, believe it or not. So they do have that slight difference there in fitment. So they're all the same. They're sort of the same here. So you can see slightly out there, but that's just the way they are. There's a few chips on the bonnet, which we're going to get done, get repaired. And then when we go inside, the good thing with this one is that it has a really good interior as well. Let me just put that down. So inside, you're going to get the bolster wear on. These seats are really comfortable, by the way. These seats are so comfortable. Really, really nice interior in the VXRs. So you do get wear obviously on this bolster. And also inside, it's important to check all the plastics and things. So a lot of them, this breaks. So you have this ashtray here that snaps. And also the cup holders and things that come out of here, they pop out. That one's out, as you can see. You press this here and they pop out. They tend to snap and break also. So it's good to check all those sorts of things. The plastics in here are not the best quality. It is obviously American Australian, so it's not a German built car, so you do tend to find that some of the plastics are not as hard wearing as they could be. And in the back we've got obviously the rear. It's only a 4-seater, so it's only got 4 seats, but look at the quality of the leather is very good in these. You do get come on here, on the back of them they're really prone to these, you can't really see, the seats crack at the back and the leather actually comes away. So for the backrest of them, it's really common. So it's important to check that, because again, trying to get those is hard work. But I'll try and get the back and show you what I'm talking about. They're electric seats. So make sure that the seats work and they go backwards and forwards. But I'll scramble in the back. So yeah, up here, this section here actually detaches itself and comes away from the back of the seat. So it's important to check that's okay. A lot of that's to do with sun damage and things like that, but as you can see in here overhaul, it's very good. There's not much else really to go wrong. Aftermarket head unit in there, not end of the world because the original one's rubbish. So good to have that, and obviously you need to get used to the fact that the indicators are the opposite way around, same as a JDM car. So the indicators are on the right rather than on the left. But overhaul, it's a nice place to be. So here we go, the LS2. This is the LS2 6-litre V8. There is obviously a 5.7 LS1 as well. I'd always try and go for the 6-litre if you can, purely because it's just the one to have. It's more powerful, it's just a better engine, more in demand, things like that. This, you may have noticed too, is an 05, which is pre the tax increase, so it's the lower tax banding. The one after 06 will be the big £600 a year to tax, but this one is slightly lower, being an 05. Anything pre-06 and you get the lower tax band, so that's good to know. But in terms of maintenance, it obviously holds a lot of oil. Got to put the correct oil in it. It's a very hard wearing engine. It's obviously in the Corvette and other things as well, so it's a lumpy old thing. It's not a high revving engine, so it works a lot of torque, a lot of low down power, but it's not a car to be revving high anyway. It's more of a low down grunter, this one. Big, as you can imagine, American V8. Auxiliary belts and things are easy to change. They're here, they are readily available. You can get the belts in most places and they're easy to fix. You can often get a bit of squeal with them from cold. They do tend to have this sort of belt squeal, but they're not a hard thing to replace. So a couple of hours labour, an hour or so's labour. Both belts available for around 50 quid, so not the end of the world to do. Batteries obviously are normal, so they do tend to get through some batteries, but the general consumables in here are quite easy to do. There's not much really to worry about. Corrosion and things, yes, you are going to get corrosion in them. It's a 17-year-old car, so have a look, make sure that down there and down this side of the car and here, there's no big areas of rot and things like that. You're going to get a little bit of surface corrosion. Oil leaks, they are prone to leaking. Gearbox, diff and engine, so make sure, check the MOT history and double check there's no major evidence of any leaks on there, and if they are, where it's coming from and what is causing it. But don't be put off by if you have got one, just check where it is, if there's any evidence of it in the history, things like that. Rear main seals can go in them, so you can have a rear main leak, and that's obviously a gearbox out job to do. Again, not a massive job. I have done a gearbox on one of these before and it's not humongous to do, but you'd rather not doing it if you can help it. And again, check on the bonnets, make sure that if there's any damage here to the nuts, why they've been off before. On the wings, if there's evidence of the paint missing off here, then it's evidence that the wings have been off before for some reason or other, so crash damage and things like that. Obviously they are a bit leery at the back, so they can be in the bad, in your bad hands and things like that, especially when it's raining. The traction control in them is not fantastic. It has got traction, but it's not the best system in the world, so have a good look around, make sure the panels are nice and straight. This one's very original, I have to say. It's on coilovers, you may have noticed it's slightly lower. It's on adjustable coilovers, as you can see. The ride on it is very, very good. It's not firm at all, so it was actually quite surprising. I thought it was going to be a bit bone shaking, but it's actually really, really good. So nothing to worry about. The old one had just basically given up the ghost, so rather than worried about getting parts in the US and in Australia, we just put a set of coilovers on. And actually it was the right thing to do because it's sharpened the handle up quite well with this one. Wheels and tyres, usual thing. Obviously check the tyre brands, make sure they're all good. It's not ran on Ling Longs or anything like that. Make sure it's ran on some decent tyres, gives evidence that the car's been looked after. Yeah, on the whole, not too much to worry about. One thing I will say is these keys are horrendous for falling apart. They tend to fail over time. This blade here will fall out of here and all sorts of things, and the buttons here where you get these with holes in and stuff. These have been replaced at some point because there's no way that's lasted 17 years, so there's a good chance that's a replacement key. But you can get them off the internet for a few quid, and as long as the actual section inside it is okay. I think these are about £8 or £9 online, but they're really prone to these plastic bits here all failing. But again, it's just 2 screws, take that out, put the blade in the end and replace the covers and you'll be fine. The other thing to remember as well, even though the car is absolutely humongous, as you can see, the boot space in them is really small. That's because on the VXR they move the fuel tank, so move that back out of the way. I got bits, you can see the boot is actually tiny. That's the fuel tank behind there, so it does actually have quite a small boot for the size of the car, but again, nothing to worry about. And when you open the floor here, check it's got the spare wheel. They should all have a factory wheel like that. And obviously under here, areas of corrosion and things, you're going to get a little bit. It's an old car, so you can check underneath here, make sure that's not gone through. It's just surface here, so nothing to worry about there. And obviously have a good look under the wheel, make sure there's no big areas of corrosion under there. What's also quite nice about this particular car, it's got a switchable exhaust. So basically at the moment the valves in the exhaust are closed, and we have this little key fob here which we can open the valves in the exhaust. So we'll give it a rev in its current state and you can hear it. So 1 second, here we go. So that's your normal exhaust note, and we can press this button here. Okay, so you may have heard the exhaust note change. So now the valves in the exhaust are open, and we'll do the same again. It's an animal of a car. So what's the big girl like to drive? Well, they're very interesting, shall we say. They are unique in that there's not really much to compare it to on the market that's like this. And most people do online, they compare them to when they came out, then Top Gear did a comparison with some of the vehicles, the Jaguar and whatever else. But they're not really comparative to anything. There's nothing else like this on the market. They're very agricultural. The gearbox is like moving the gears in a tractor. It's very stiff, very firm. The brake pedal moves quite well. It pretty much goes to the floor. Everyone I've had's been the same. So they are quite woolly to drive, shall we say. They're not the best handling thing in the world in terms of back lane country driving, but they never were in the first place, and they're not meant for that. They're muscle cars. They're designed pretty much to go round corners either sideways and then just in straight lines, and that's pretty much it. But they are fantastic fun, and that's the best thing about these cars, is that they are fun, and they're very good. I won't call them an investment, but since I've had them for the last 8 years, they retain their values very, very well, and they are pretty robust, like I said earlier. We're on a nice country road here in Scotland on the way back down south, and it handles these roads very well. It does feel quite big. It's quite a bulky car, but then again, it is a big bulky car. You know, it's not meant to be light on its feet, but it's quite an experience up here in the Highlands, I've got to say. The other good thing with these cars are the residual values. Yes, I wouldn't say buy a car, but then again, I wouldn't particularly say buy any car at the minute as an investment. But to buy one now, they're a little bit more, or the same sort of value for a really nice one as they were when I started stocking them 7 years ago or 8 years ago. So that gives you an indication as to their values. They don't go up or down, they sort of stay pretty much level, and that's a great thing if you're buying one to use. You know, there's no point buying one to lock it away, so I don't think that's ever going to appreciate too much in value. But to use one, have fun and use it and enjoy it, I think yes, they are a great buy, especially at the moment, because there's just not many left, especially nice ones. In terms of fueling it, the tank in it's not very big. 75 odd pounds plus a quarter of a tank that was already in it has filled it. So my reckoning, that's about 60 litres. So for the size of the engine and obviously the fuel economy, it's not going to get us all the way home in one go, I shouldn't imagine. So it doesn't give me a range, it just gives me the gallons that are left. But we'll see how we get on. We're going to get on the motorway in a minute and just drive all the way back. So it's about 4 hours, 307 miles to go. So let's see how we get on. What I will mention is this car feels very tight. I know I picked up on it earlier, but I mentioned it again, is the mechanicals of these. So they are quite heavy, and if you've got a diff noise, a diff whir, a diff knock, you get prop shaft bearings failing them, and you'll feel that for the pedals and through the car in knocking away. Suspension, they are quite prone to wearing out bushes and bearings, and also obviously the struts themselves, the strut tops, because of their mass. So any knocks and bangs when you're driving around on test drive, have a listen and see if you identify any problems, because they are quite known to have issues, knocks and bangs here or there. This one though is tight as a nut, and it does drive very, very well indeed. But yeah, always check that out. Another thing about this car, which I really like, is its sense of being unique, in that you can go to a petrol station and it happens every time you go out in one, no matter where you go. People of all ages will say, "What's that?" And you don't get that with many cars. Even the rarest form of a particular brand, if you're in a rare Ferrari or whatever you're in, when you go to a garage, normally people can pick up on what it is. But with this, it's unbelievable. You go to any age of person will just say, "What is that?" And obviously when you start it and you tell them what's underneath the bonnet, it's this sense of excitement that you don't really get from anything else, and that in its own is pretty cool. I also think this car's aged really well. I know I might get different opinions on that, but I also think it looks better than the VXR8, the later one. I think it's aged, it's overtaken that in its desirability. I think and that shows in the retail prices too. I think it looks better than the VXR8. It certainly, in my opinion, drives better than the VXR8. I think it's a little bit more nimble, not quite as bulky and as chubby as the VXR8. But I think it looks better. I think it has better lines. I think it has a very much of a NASCAR look when you look at it, especially side on. And I think it really does have an appeal in the way it's shaped. And I think it will always look better. I think it will get better with age as we go on. But it's definitely iconic. I've got to say, for a car of this age, its road manners are fantastic. I mean, we're doing some motorway speeds now, sat here, and it just doesn't bat an eyelid. You know, we're going to do obviously quite a few miles going home, but you'll never suspect you're in a car of this age. I would say it's a lovely, lovely place to be. On a motorway, cruising along, it's just fantastic. Ownership wise, you will find a lot of these have got quite a few owners with them, purely because people have them, they're interested in them, they'll buy them, run them around for a year or so, and because you can sell them pretty much for what you paid for it or close to it, they do tend to have this ownership business of being transferred around the place. That's not necessarily a problem, providing they've been looked after during these people's ownership, so they're not scripted and scraved on servicing costs and things like that, or general maintenance stuff. But this one's had 4 previous keepers, which is fine. You will get some that have had 7, 8, 9, 10 owners. I probably wouldn't go for the high ownership ones, even though they may be nice cars. I'd always stick with the low ownership ones. This has done 60,000 miles, so 63,000 miles, so it's not even worn in yet. But yeah, you will tend to find that's the case, and there's not necessarily a problem with the cars. It's just that people have them, they're running around for a bit. But do be wary of that and do your checks. So some stats then for you. I've got the exhaust valves open now, so you can hear it. See if you go on the overrun. 400 horsepower. Crazy noise. 0 to 60 between 5.2 and 5.4 seconds, depending on which article you read. I've never launched one, so I've never recorded it, but I suspect it's pretty accurate. But the most important stat for me is 520 Newton meters of torque, and that means you can be in any gear, any revs, put your foot down, and this wave of power just appears. Any gear. The other number is the top speed. In theory, 180 miles an hour, which, let's face it, is Lotus Carlton performance. We are in England, people. We're at Scotland, but unfortunately we're on the M6, which means, yeah, my sat nav's just told me we've got 189 miles on one road in the rain, and it's getting dark soon. Oh, Kendall, 40 miles that way. Go some mint cake. At least my bum's not hurting yet. I'm not, it's not very comfy in here, so there we go. So I'm running out of light now, so we'll do a quick video when we get back, just to let you know we got back okay. But I suppose the question is, should I buy one? Well, of course you should. It's one of those cars that we've had for 8 years now, and the values have been rock solid, and they remain to be rock solid, because you can't buy a car like this anymore. And people realise that, and people want that in their lives. They want to be able to experience it at least once in their life, what a big Burberry V8 is like. And it's a great time to buy one. Take on board what I said earlier, but I promise you won't regret having one. There's plenty of time to save your money in the bank. At the minute, there's no interest on it, it's not doing anything, so get out there, get one of these, have some fun. Sometimes you have to look forward, sometimes you have to look backwards, but sometimes you also have to look a little bit sideways, and this is the best car to be going a little bit sideways. So we're about 20 miles from Birmingham, and I'm starting to feel a bit weary now. I've got the window down though, hear the bells better. That's good. There's nothing I want more right now than to get to this toll road on the M6. We've just gone past junction 13, and I'm pretty sure at junction 12, please junction 12, please be the toll road. So here we are, bye bye M6, hello toll road, we're on the toll road, we're almost there. We're almost there. Here we are. We are approaching the main toll plaza, just getting off the M6 toll road, and amazingly it's quite dry here actually. It's been drier the last 10 miles, it has been all day. Here we are. Got to use the right card here. Oh, hold on. Are we in? You can insert the card in the card reader slot below. I have to insert the card in the card reader slot below, which means getting out. Are we there? Faulty reading. Please use an alternative card. There's faulty reading. Please use an alternative card. Don't have an alternative card. we're there, we're in. Oh. Thank you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, as they say, that is how we do that. There we are, back where we started again. Oh, it sounds good in here. So here we are, we're back at HQ, and the first thing to point out is that I don't feel fatigued at all, which is bizarre because I've just driven for 300 miles. It's been a long day. It's about 6:30 in the evening now, and we started at 6:30 in the morning at the airport. 300 miles all the way back pretty much, didn't miss a beat, and I feel fine. I can get back in it again and do it again. But yeah, there is one more thing I want to point out which might surprise you. I reset the clocks for the MPG and the speed when we left Edinburgh earlier on today, and you can see, look at that, 24.3 miles to the gallon, and it was full when we filled it up in Scotland before we got on the motorway. So in the 300 odd miles that we've done, 307 I think it was in total, it's used, as you can see there, just, well, it's got a quarter tank and a bit left. So it's amazing really, and it's only a small tank, remember, so it's probably used 35-40 litres at max to get it all the way from Scotland to basically 10 miles from Coventry, and at 39.7 miles an hour. How amazing is that for a 6 litre V8? Absolutely incredible. So guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come. We have plenty more content coming in the foreseeable future. We've got the Supra over there, which there is a video of live now. We've also got the one of the Ferrari, which has been live for a little while. There is a lot more to come. So please follow us, please support us. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you very soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.